Hello, so today I'm going to show you how to make an ormering basket. Just traditional old ormering basket, otherwise known as a Pannier A Cou in Guernsey French, or Pannier A Cou. So these are traditionally used to collect ormers on the shoreline. So ormers are a type of abalone which live in these waters, which the locals collect at low tide. We've got a vast tidal range here, so there's a big expanse of shoreline which is uncovered at low tide, so there's a lot of foraging area. So it's great fun and they taste great. So this is a traditional basket made out of willow. They're not really used much anymore because the modern day equivalent, I mean, like years before I started using these baskets, I'd have used like a mesh bag like this, which has got a fine mesh, but it's nice and light and easy to carry around. But I mean, obviously this serves the same purpose, and actually, you know, I prefer using them. I like the tradition of them, if anything else. But also, they're really good. They're really good baskets to keep the ormers in. So yeah, well, the reason I started making these really was because years ago all the old Guernseymen would have made baskets, and this one is my grandfather's. My mum kept this one for me. My grandfather died about 35 years ago. Yeah, so this must be, I don't know, at least 45 years old. I mean, fair enough, it hasn't been used during all that time because I've never used it. I've been too scared to break it. I didn't want to break it. So yeah, so I've kept it. It's just lived in my shed, in various sheds wherever I've lived, and I've used it to keep stuff in. But apart from that, I haven't really used it. But I'm sure he used it at the time, and you know, just it goes to show. Actually, you could use it now. It's perfectly usable. Not that I'm going to. It's a bit of an heirloom now. So, but yeah. So this is what I based all my. Just one day I looked at it and I thought, well, I'm sure I could make that if I tried. So I sourced the materials, and yeah, and then went from there. All the materials that he'd have used in the past would have been mainly stuff that he'd have had lying around. So let me give you a bit of a close-up of the basket, so you just to give you an idea of what it's made of and what I've sort of replaced his materials with. Okay, so this is my grandfather's basket. So you can see that what it's made up of is you've got a wooden handle. Now I assume that he'd have just made that out of an old broom handle, which funny enough is exactly what I use. And then you can see here that there's wire that goes in and makes up the structure. So you should be able to see here that we've got a bar. It's made. There's three bars. So you've got the one that makes the opening. So you can see here, this is a thicker bar. And as you can see that it's actually quite rusted, this, but it's not bad considering its age, and it's, you know, it'll still be usable for sure. So yeah, so you've got a bar here, you've got wire as the other bits to separate the willow, and then you've got another bar here, some more further down you've got some more wire, and then another bar here, and then on the back you can see that's mainly wire there. Now, like I say, all the materials you'd have sourced. There would have been some local shops that would have sold the willow. It's actually quite difficult to get hold of in Guernsey now. But yeah, so he'd have got the willow locally, but he'd have probably got a broom handle. My grandfather was a grower like most of the people in Guernsey at the time, so I can only imagine that this wire is greenhouse wire, which is an old galvanised wire, and they don't make it like this anymore. Because you imagine if this was the type of galvanised wire that you get nowadays, that would have been rusty by now. So yeah, there's decent wire. But yeah, they'd have used that, they'd have had a load of that lying around. I'm not quite sure what he'd have made the bars out of, so he'd probably sourced that locally somehow. And then of course he's got this rope. It's not a very long rope actually, I thought, so he must have used it, not, because traditionally these Pannier A Cou means neck basket, so you'd have worn it around the neck, but I don't think this rope would have been long enough to put around your neck. But it's a horrible scratchy rope. I don't know where. At the moment it's probably got scratchier over time, but it's I certainly wouldn't want to be putting that around my neck. So yeah, so if we just have a look inside, so yeah, you can see the integrity of the basket is pretty good still. Okay, so I've pre-cut some of the materials down to size. This is the broom handle that I was talking about. So this is 28mm diameter. An average broom handle is 24mm. So it's a slightly thicker, so I mean you can find them easily in some stores, but they're not your normal size. I've cut this down to 40cm in size because it's the same. This is the same size as my grandfather's. Yeah, I'm sure you can do them in various different sizes, but that's what I'm going for, because obviously I'm copying that as a template. So that's done. I've smoothed off the ends with the sander. I am actually going to just smooth this off a little bit more because it's not perfect. And then I've also got some stainless steel bars, so I've cut these down to size as well. So the size is there's 3 bars which make up the main frame of the basket. You've got one 56cm for the mouth of the basket, one that's 71 for the back, and one that's 83cm for the front. Again, I'm just going off the dimensions, and you can make them any size, but I thought it'd be handy for you to give you the dimensions just in case you wanted to follow the same. Now this is marine grade stainless steel, 5mm round bar. Obviously with being stainless steel it's a lot harder than your average steel, and being marine grade it's even harder. So I have bent these, because obviously you need to bend this into shape for the basket. I have done this previously on a vise, and it can be done, it's fine, but I have actually bought, because I've been doing quite a few of these, I bought myself a bending machine, which I'll show you. It makes the job a lot easier and makes it consistent. So I'm just going to smooth off the side ends of the handle, and then I'll show you how I bend these bars into shape. Right, so I've taped up the bars now. The 3 different size bars, I've actually got the measurements wrong before. So the smaller one is 65cm long, and what I've done is I've done a bend from the end. You can see I've taped up in red here. It's 14.5cm from the end. The medium size bar is 71cm long altogether, and the bend is 21cm from the end. And the largest one is 75cm. I think I said 83 before, so it's 75cm long, and the bend is going to be 22.5cm from the end. So I'll move on to the bending machine now and just show you how that works. Right, so this is the bending machine. You can do the same job in a vise, but I got this bending machine mainly to do the rolling, because you can actually make a curve in the bar, but this comes in nice and handy for actually measuring up the actual bend. So you can see here where I've marked out where the bend should be, and all you do is you pull the handle down. Oh, hang on a second, I got it the wrong way around, because I've already done the bend on the other side. So, and then you pull it like this. Now I'm not going to actually pull a full right angle, I'll show you why in a minute. So you see there, it's made the bend in the right place, and you can see what I've done there. I don't know whether you can see that, but I've actually done it so it's, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull it so it's right angle in a minute, but I don't like to have an exact right angle bend when I'm doing the basket. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. So I'll just do the others just to show you. So this is the medium one, so it's nice and easy. Just get it onto the point here. I'll do exactly the same. So just do it till it's almost there. Not quite the right angle. There we go. So those are the bends, and the last one, the larger ones. It's not too hard to do on a vise. There we go. So there we have it. Now I'll finish this off in the vise because I'll show you what I do next. Okay, let me just show you. This is obviously one of the completed baskets, and I just wanted to show you. This is the opening to the baskets. This is one of the main bars, like I've just bent, and you can see here that it's not a complete right angle. This bend. It's more curved. You can see it goes curved around here. So this would be where I've just bent it, and then I make a curve, and the same on the other side. And the reason I do that is, I mean, I have done it before on other baskets. To start with, I did them complete right angles. So you can see on other baskets I've done like this one. You can see that's a complete right angle. It just makes it more difficult to weave, and I don't think it looks as neat. If you see my grandfather's basket here, whilst it is more of a right angle, it is still curved. I don't know quite how he bent the metal in the first place. He was only using non-stainless steel, so it would have been a bit easier, but it's more of a bend, so I just wanted more of a curve going on. So I'll show you what I do. Right, let's see if I can get this right first time on camera. So if we take you can see they're not right angles like I've just shown you. So what I do is I just take it sort of about there and grip it in the vise, and then just bend it until it's till it comes to almost so it's a right angle like that. And then you can see there, it just makes a bit of a curve. It just makes it, because when there's an edge, when there's a right angle edge, as you're doing the weaving, it's you can get gaps between the willow. So let me just do the other side. I just normally do this by eye rather than measuring it exactly. So you can see there, I'll probably get it wrong there. That's about there. So it won't matter really if I get it slightly out. There we go. So you can see, you can just bend it into shape. So I don't know if you can see there. So that's pretty much right. So there we go. That's the mouth. And I'll just do the others quickly. Right, sorry, I forgot one thing. You see the back of the basket. You see the that's one of the bars right at the back there. You can see how it's bent downwards like that. It's just to make the shape of the basket. So I'm just going to show you. I just bend it slightly in order to make that shape. So I'm just going to put it back in the vise, and I'll show you what I do. Okay, so this is the bar for the back of the basket. I just simply put a little bit of a bend in it. So I do it from the top here, and just bend it downwards a bit. Again, I'm doing this by eye, and what we might do once I've actually fixed these bars to the handle, hang on, let's just see how far that is. Once we fix the bars to the handle, I sometimes then do some minor adjustments just in case it doesn't look quite right. So I haven't found a way of making a template for this yet. So there we go. You can see, hopefully you can see that the bar now is slightly bent downwards. It's not quite even. I'll even it out. But yeah, so that's just so we get the shape of the back of the basket. Okay, so this, the withies are in the bath. I've got 100 black maul and 4-foot withies. So they need to be soaked for 4 days. So it's a day for each foot. So yeah, so I'm just going to make sure they're submerged. I've got the pieces of lead here weighing them down, nice sheets of lead. So yeah, I'm just going to keep them soaked, and then once they've been soaking for 4 days, I'll then take them out of the water and then keep them under a cloth until I'm ready to use them. Right, what I'm going to do is going to drill some holes. I've already marked it out. So for the entrance, for the smaller bar, it's 7 centimeters from the end on each side. And I've just marked in pencil here. I'm doing this by eye. I find this is probably the bit that's the trickiest and the bit that I sometimes get wrong. I am going to make a template where I make a sleeve which I put in, and then all the holes are in the right place. But actually this is the way I do it at the moment. So I'm just going to drill these holes, and what I do is I actually put a bit of tape on the drill bit just so I go in the same amount into the wood, so that so it's even. That's, oh, forgot on how that. Doesn't need to go in that far, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it in as well. Right, so just get the bar and there we go, fits in neatly like that. So I'm just going to get some super glue. It's probably not needed, because once we get weaving with the willow, it just stays in place. However, I do it just to be sure. Can't do any harm. Right. So I'm just going to put a blob of super glue. Put some of this gel. There we go. Okay. So the next bit, and this tends to be one of the trickiest bits, is to get the right angle really for the bar that goes out in front. Now, if I just get it, so this is the longest out of the 3 bars. Make sure you can see it okay. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay. So this is the longest of the 3 bars. Now, obviously, you can do it at different angles. So if you put it up here like this, then it's going to be a really deep basket. And if you put it out the front like this, it's going to be sort of more of a shallow basket. So so yeah, let me just show you the difference in the different baskets that you can do just before, whilst I'm waiting for this glue to dry anyway. Let me just show you. This one's quite a shallow basket, and that's because the angle of the bar is out in front like that, whereas for this one here you can see it's quite a deep basket, and that is because it's the bar is the longer bar is much further down. So I mean, I use these baskets for all sorts of things. So, and actually they can come in quite handy. The different shapes come in quite handy. For the Ormering, I prefer a flatter one like that, because they sit nicer. So yeah. Right, so we've got the main frame of the basket now. So all the bars are set in place. So now all I need to do is put the wires in. You can see from this my grandfather's basket. So we've got the bars, and then we've got the galvanised wires that go in between. So there's all together you've got 4 galvanised wires on the front, 5 underneath, and then you've got a further 4 at the back. So those all need to be secured before we can start weaving. So let me give you a bit of a close-up on that. Right, so this is my grandfather's basket. So as you can see, we've got the bars in place here, and then you've got the galvanised wire. Now, the way he made his was his galvanised wire. He just sort of used to weave the willow, and then as he got so far down, he'd then add the galvanised wire. Now, what I've found is easier to do is to secure the wire into the handle at the start, and the reason I do that is if I don't do that, then you get these loose bits of sharp wire that can jut out, and it's all right if you're using them yourself, but if I'm making them for anyone else, then I don't want them to get injured. So yeah, so we've got like I say, we've got 4 at the front, different sizes. So they go from the lengths from 67 centimeters down to 56, I think it is, and on the bottom they're all 72 centimeters, and then on the back I've got these are about 35 centimeters. So yeah, what I need to do, so if you have a look at the frame that I've created now, you can see I've actually started, I've drilled a couple of holes already. So what I like to do, you can see I've started to drill the holes. What I like to try and do is get them in a line. If I can fit them, then I get the 5 holes in a line. Sometimes I can stagger them backwards and forwards, it doesn't matter, as long as they're in the same sort of vicinity. And then in between the front 2, I then put another 4 in here. For the ones at the back, I don't actually drill them into the handle because they just secured onto the bars, and I wind them on. So I'll show you what to do. So yeah, I'm just going to drill the holes, put the wires in. So I'll speed this bit up for you. Right, you can see here all the wires are in place. Then you'll see they don't look perfect, some look too close together, but as long as they're around about the right and they're the right length, you can see that it forms the shape. As long as it's round about right, as you weave, you can space them out in exactly how you want it to be, and you know, create the shape as you go in. So all I need to do is put the bars on the back. I'll show you how to do that now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a pair of pliers. I haven't found any better way of doing it yet, but this is the easiest way I find, is just on each end, it's just to twist it round with a pair of wires. It's a bit of a pain to do, and then clamp it in place. I'll cut the ends off in a bit. And what you want to do is try and get some tension there, so that it sort of keeps it in place, but not too much, because otherwise it actually bends the bars if you're not careful. So there you have it really. So you have got these ends, these wires that you could hurt yourself on. So what I just tend to do is use my wire cutters and just cut them down a little bit, just to, I mean, when you've got the willow on there anyway, it sort of hides it a little bit, so I just try and actually bring it back down to size like that. Actually, I've cut too much off here. There you go. So then it sort of
get it as close as you can to the wire, so that there's not actually much protruding like that. So there you go, it's the first one done. I hate doing this bit, I don't know why, but it's just a pain. Well, I hope you can see that. So all the 4 wires are in place on the back, so the whole frame is now complete with all the wires. So I'm going to leave this overnight to set. I've already taken the willow out the bath, so I'm on a time clock now before the willow dries down. So I've just got the willow under some hessian cloth to keep it from drying out. So the only thing I need to do now before I start doing the weaving, it's easier to do this now, is to actually coat the handle. Now for ones that I'm going to do, I do as decorative pieces, like this, like the smaller ones like this. I tend to varnish the handle because it looks nicer. But if they're going to be used for ormering, then what I tend to do is actually just coat it in tung oil, just to soak the wood in oil. Just makes it last a lot longer. I mean, my grandfather's, I'm sure, hasn't got any oil on it at all. It would just, you know, they weren't thinking of making these last for years. It was just for practical use. So, but for my purposes, all I've got is a bit of tung oil with some mixed with a little bit of white spirit, and I just do a couple of coats on the handle, and it just helps it preserve it a little bit. I mean, if you're taking it down in and it's going to be in the salt water, I just think it's better to try and protect it. So I'll just do I'll do one coat like this in the morning. I'll probably I'll just come and do a second coat once it's dried, and then tomorrow night I'll start doing the weaving. Okay, so all the wires are on. You can see it's starting to take shape. You can see here that the bars aren't the right distance apart, but you just fix that as you go along. So I've got some willow here that's soaked for the right amount of time. Now it's actually been out of the water for a couple of days now, so I better get a move on. So all you need really for this part is a pair of secateurs, in order to sometimes trim down some of the ends. Might be a bit too fat. This with the 4-foot willow, that actually with this size basket you shouldn't have to do it that very much. However, you will get some that are just a little bit too thick, especially to start with, because when you're doing the ends, just to start with, just to get the willow through the gaps, sometimes I find it easier to chop just a little bit of the end off. So let me give you a close-up, see if you can see it. Okay, let's see if I can show you this a bit better. So there we go. So I have, you can see I've put the willow through this bit here, bent it over the main bar, because obviously the main bar is a lot more secure, and then I've gone under the first 4 at the front. Doesn't matter which way round you do it. And then bent that one around the front like so, and keep the tension up as much as you can, otherwise it gets a bit loose. So I've got, you can see there, I've got the tension there, and then I'll go back over the 4 for the first turn, and use your thumb in order to keep it in place. So you can see there that that's all secure. Now I need to take it around to this side, so I'll just turn the basket around so you can see properly. Okay, so I need to go, I'll go over 2, 3, go over 3 here, and under 2, so you can see that there. I've gone over 3, under 2, and then round the back bar putting tension on it the whole time. And then I'll do the same on the way back. So go over 2 and then under the 3. Okay, from there. Right, now I'll start to, well, I will start to do a few more gaps. So I'll just, once I've got the first bit in place like that, I tend to then try and space the bars out a little bit. So you can see there's a bit of more of a space in between these two here. So what I'll do, instead of going over the 4 again, I'll just go, oh, sorry, going under the 4, I'll go under 2, over 2, and then back over. And I'll repeat that. Over, under. Now you can see here that actually there is more space in between here. There is more of a gap between these two than these two. So, so yeah, I'll see if I can go over and under now. So now that it's secure, because by actually putting that first weave in place. So there you go. I'll go over under by putting that first weave in place. Sort of just fix them in place. It just sort of holds those wires in place. So if they're a bit insecure, that just, because of the tension you put on the willow, it sort of just holds them, grips them in place. Okay, so I managed to go over and under. So from here onwards, I can go over and under each one. So it's only at the start really where you can skip a few bars. Other than that, it's over and under each time. As it's getting to the thinner end, it makes it a lot easier around these thinner parts. Here we go. Separate these out a bit. I always like to do the first couple one each end rather than doing, because you don't need to do it that way, but it's just to secure the wires in place for the first couple. There we go, right. Okay. Okay, I've come to the end. I'm just going to tuck this bit in now. So you can see here, I'll just do a close-up just to see how I do this. So you can see here that you've got this end that you need to tuck in. Now all you do, you can see this one's going to go over this bar. All I do is I go put it over, but then tuck it in underneath the previous bit of willow. So tuck it in there, pull it through, put a bit of tension on, and there we go. It's just to tuck it in. And what you'll have there then is, on the other side, you can see the bit of willow coming through the other side, and then you just snip that off. I won't do it now, I tend to do it at the end. So, God, it's much more tricky to show you than I thought. Right, so now the first two are in place, this should be a little bit easier. What I'll do is I'll zoom back out, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so just because we're still at the start, I'm still going to snip off a little bit more. Now, just to show you what you do, right, is you need to carry on where you left off. This is the trick to making it nice and even. So, you know, when we're weaving here, you go over, under, over, under, over, under, and you can see here that, so the very last bit that I did was round the back of this one, over this one, under this one, and over this one and tucked in. So what you want to do is you want to follow the same line, so just follow it as if it was, so putting that one in over, just follow the same pattern and continue it from there. And start with the fat end, obviously. Okay, so we've got to the point now where there's enough gap here to put the rope through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the weave all the way up to the handle, and what I do is wrap it around the handle twice, and then continue it back down. So what you need to do is make sure you've got a long enough piece of willow, because what you want to do is make sure that it doesn't end somewhere around here, because if it does, if the weave ends around here, then you don't get such a tight weave. So it would make sense when you do it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start off here. This isn't necessarily where I finished off last time. So I've got a long enough piece of willow. So weave down to the handle. When you get to the handle, it's exactly the same. Just treat it as if this is the bar. So because this has gone under here, over here, it'll go under the handle, and you wrap it round and all the way around, and keep the tension on. So keep as much tension as you can, and then back, so it goes under. So you know if you've got it right, because it'll go over the wire one way, under the wire the next, and yeah, just continue the weave and take it as far as it can go, so in order for it to keep the tension there. So tuck that in. Okay, there you go. So
on my grandfather's we've got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 he's got. I'll see how it goes. I mean, he's got different thickness, Willow, to what I've got as well. So I'll see. I'll probably go for 10. Got to have enough gap in the middle so you can hold it with your hand. So yeah, I'll just continue that. Speed this bit up, and I'll slow it down again when we get to the next point. Okay, so hopefully you could see that my hands didn't get in the way too much. Right, we'll get to another point where I think I should show you. Now, there's, you can see here, I've done 8, there's 8 pieces of willow per side, but I think that's enough. I mean, on my grandfather's there's 10. You can see up here, this is his. However, it might be 10, but his are quite, some of those are quite thin. So what you want to do is be able to have a handle in between that you can grasp with your hands. So if I did any more than that, then you wouldn't really be able to hold the handle in the middle there. So yeah, so I'm just going to have to finish it off now. So this last bit seems simple because it's just it's straight from this bar all the way over to the end bar and then back around again. So it's just straight weaving, there's no twisting around the handle or anything. But as you can see, the problem we have, which is what I mentioned before, is the fact that this gap here is a little bit bigger than this gap here. And it's not too bad, but that's just going to be managed.
because what you probably do is get to the end and there'll be a little gap here. So it's, you know, it's inevitable that you're going to have to wedge some in and just squeeze some in, and actually as the gap gets smaller, it's more difficult to pull the willow through. So this is actually quite a tricky part of making the basket, the finishing off. But yeah, hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So you can see here, I don't like these bits where you get, where the bends are, and you can see why I managed to soften the bends when I was bending those bars, because you do get these sort of breaks there. Now, from a practical point of view, no ormer is going to get through there, so it's not really a problem, but it just, you know, it can look a bit naff. So, and you've got one on the other side really, so yeah, I try, sometimes I try and fill in the gaps afterwards, but yeah, it's not too bad at all. So yeah, it does look quite neat. Okay, let's carry on. Right, I just thought I'd stop to just explain a little bit. Now we're getting to the end. You'll notice that we've still got a bit of a gap on the back, and even a little bit of a gap on the front as well. There's not much of one, but you can see there's still a little bit of a gap. But as you get further into the middle of the basket, you can see that we're running out of space. It's just the way this happens normally. In fact, it's normally a lot worse than this. You can see that actually the way I'm having to tuck the willow in at the bottom, it looks a bit messy. I don't tend to worry too much about it, because if you have a look inside as well, you'll see that they all sort of come up through the middle, and it gets worse and worse as the more you get in. Because it's at the bottom, it's not going to be noticed that much, so I don't tend to bother with it too much. But what you need to do really, in order to make it tight, because the willow will contract as it dries, so you want to get as much in there as possible, so you don't leave any gaps. So just I'm going to put a few more in each side, and then should be done. So there we have it, finished basket.
I'm sure you'll appreciate it takes a long time to make one of these. I'd say it takes me about 5 to 6 hours probably to make one from start to finish. I mean, it took you a long time just to watch the video, so a fair play to those of you who stuck around to watch the end. It's not the most exciting thing watching someone weave a basket, but anyway, so for that reason as well, I didn't show you how to splice the eyes on. You can see I've roped it up now, because I'll put that on another video. There's plenty of YouTube tutorials out there, but I am going to add one at some point, so look out for that. Yeah, so basically this is a neck basket. So if you this is how you would use it. You swing it around, put it on your back, and then you can walk down the beach with it. You've got your arms free then to ormer, and when you get one you can swing it round and put the ormer inside. So so that's how you use it. If you compare it to my grandfather's basket, you can see there's small differences. You can see obviously my rope's a lot longer, like I said before, and mine's slightly larger. But yeah, not a bad copy at all, really. So I hope it lasts as long as his. So there we have it, Pannier A Cou. That's how to make one. If you like my video, please press the like button, and feel free to subscribe to my channel.